Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Runna Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben.
And I'm Anya.
So Anya is an amazing athlete. Anya is a Lululemon sponsored marathon runner with a mind-boggling time of a 2:34 PB. And she's also part of the coaching team here at Runna.
And Ben is the co-founder of Runna and has the same marathon PB as me and has also completed 7 mental Ironman along the way.
Well, thank you so much for coming to join us. And we're just going to tell you a little bit about what you can expect with our Runna Podcast. So the idea is we're going to be interviewing some amazing individuals in the running community, people connected to Runna in different ways, and telling you and showcasing some of their amazing stories. We're also going to be joined in the middle of each episode by another one of our amazing coaches, Steph Davies, who's going to share a fun coaching tip of the week. And then in the second half, we'll get into some slightly funnier and slightly sillier running conversations from there. We will also have the opportunity for you to send us and share your silly and embarrassing running stories. So please, each week, whenever something silly and embarrassing happens to you, send them to us at podcast@runna.com or send us a voice note to our Instagram and we can share them on the podcast. But otherwise, let's get into it. So we're going to get to know Anya a little bit first. So to kick things off, Anya, what got you into running?
So I've always been sporty as a child. I played hockey and cricket at county level, youth county level, but I was never one that won sports day or put myself forwards for the 1500 meters or enjoyed cross country. But I just found solace in running during lockdown in that 1 hour of exercise we were permitted a day, and I just fell totally in love with it.
Amazing. And so I guess before the lockdown, did you run at all?
So not really. I did that thing where I found boys and partying and got really unfit. Didn't do as much sport as I was doing when I was a child. So I think I used running for a bit of fitness back then. But I didn't have carbon shoes. I didn't have Strava. I didn't have a watch. I remember going around my fields near my house and just being I did one more lap of the field today than I did last time. But that field now, when I look at it, is absolutely tiny. I don't even know if it's 400 meters round. I would run a tiny bit for health and my mental health, really. But that was it.
And that culminated with a London marathon?
Yes. So I just wanted to throw myself in the deep end, I think. I didn't want to overthink it. So I just signed up for London Marathon and I did, the 2019 London Marathon for charity. Raised money. I definitely didn't find my love for running there. It was the hardest marathon I've ever done.
And what time did you do?
So I did that marathon in 4 hours and 34 minutes, but I had no time goal. I hardly trained, to be honest. I definitely didn't follow a plan. I just would go out and run.
And it obviously sounds crazy hearing that now. So knowing where you are today, kind of with that, doing an amazing PB that you've gone on to achieve. So what changed in the lockdown?
I think I have a very busy head and I needed running to take myself away from the stresses of lockdown. It's quite intense living back with your family. I just moved to London. I was living this freedom, this life in London, and it was hard for us all to be back home. So I just used to take myself out and I used to forget where I went. I fell totally in love with it. Then I came back to London and I would just do laps of Battersea Park and I would see the same guy every day. And it was my first ever coach. And he just started chatting to me one day and said he was giving up his job and he was going to start a coaching business. Would I like to be coached? And I was that would be really cool. And so I was one of the first athletes he ever coached. And he actually then, coached me to get an England vest just after lockdown, which was very exciting.
Wow. And so how long did it take to get from kind of you don't like running and it's locked down to kind of feel that this is your this is your passion?
My story is I did my first marathon, London Marathon in 2019 in a time of 4 hours and 34 minutes. And then I did London Marathon 2022. So I guess 3 years later in a time of 2 hours, 36 minutes. So when did I decide I loved running? I don't know. I think I never really had negative connotations about running. I was never forced to do it. We didn't have a track at school. Like, I was never... Like, we didn't really run at school. I know a lot of people, like, it's almost like a punishment to go out and be, like, forced to run. I associated running with the return to normal, being able to run with friends. And so I've just always seen it as quite a social thing. And now I still use it as a social thing. Like, my Wild Friday nights are now, like, going for a run and going out for good food after. I think I fell in love with every part of it.
Wow. And so you kind of like find your love for it. You train really consistently over these 3 years and you turn up to the London Marathon start line when it's back on and do this amazing time. Yeah. Were you shocked or did you know that was going to happen?
I was so shocked. I was so naive, and I think that's what I put a lot of my running down to, that I didn't overthink it back then. Like, I just turned up and ran. I don't know if Nick, my coach, knew what shape I was in, because I was running some very good sessions looking back, but I had nothing to compare it to. And not having ran as a child, I didn't really know the running world. Like, I didn't really follow anyone. I didn't know what a session really was. I would go out and sometimes run fast and sometimes run slow. I didn't really know what I was doing. So that was so emotional. And I just remember, I finished, it was the English Marathon Championships, I think, and I came second in that. So that was mental.
Wow. And so, I mean, you've done this marathon, 2:36 in London, at the end of the lockdown. How does running evolve and change your life from there? Because obviously now we're in a position that you're a Lululemon sponsored athlete. You work with us as part of the coaching team at Runna. Like, how did things transpire and running become not only the passion that you developed, but also your job?
I think I go in hard on things. So, like, when I found how much I enjoyed running, I was like all eggs in that basket. Like, I was still working full time. I was doing advertising in London when I ran for England at Copenhagen Marathon. And then I slowly changed it to sports advertising, and then Runna and Ben reached out. And I started doing my own coaching. I started being coach at Runna and giving up my corporate job.
And at the same time, brands starting to get involved in your kind of obviously sharing that running journey on social media as well, means that brands are coming to support you as well.
Yeah, but I feels like I'm still so young, but I feel like I'm slightly older than like the TikTok generation. So I never went out there to be an influencer. I still don't think I really am. Like, that's kind of come secondary, just sharing my journey. Like, my priority is my training, my job, my life experiences, and I film or document most things on my socials, but like, I don't put too much emphasis on it.
Well, I think it's that journey that you've been on is so amazing and so inspiring, and that's why I think a lot of people love seeing what you've been up to, seeing that on Instagram, seeing that on Strava, and obviously why then at the same time brands come on to support you as well. And I guess kind of like looking back at all of the things you've achieved, and kind of the obviously we mentioned you did that 2:36 marathon as that one post lockdown. You've gone on to do a number of marathons since. Yeah. And so tell us about your best marathon.
It has to be Copenhagen Marathon running for England. Yeah, so I ran 2:34 at that marathon, which was the goal. That was like the first marathon which I went out with a set pace for. Pretty much nailed the pace I wanted to do. But just representing my country was the most insane thing. Like, I never, ever even considered doing that. So. And
how do you get picked to run for England?
So I got an email just being like, would you like to be considered to represent your country? And I was like, yeah, obviously I would quite like that. But I didn't want to jinx it. Like, I felt like it was too good to be true. So I told my mum and told her not to tell anybody. But I think she told everybody that she knew, but was also telling them not to tell anybody. So when I actually raced that race, I had like 30 of my mum and family friends going out there, all with matching bucket hats that my mum made that had like my name on it and Team England. And yeah, it was incredible.
And that pressure helped, or was really embarrassing?
No, that helped. Just seeing them. They kind of look like Santa hats, but I remember just seeing them everywhere. Like, I couldn't get away from them. Yeah.
Wow. And so it must just feel crazy racing a marathon for England, running a time that's 2 hours faster than you could do only 2 or 3 years earlier. How did that feel?
It was just crazy. Like, I just did something that I didn't ever think was possible. And I think just pushing myself and making myself as proud as I did that day, I will never get over that feeling. I remember just crossing the line, and there's a photo of me hugging my brother, and I'm just like crying my eyes out. Like, I really just didn't give myself time to think about it in case it went wrong. And then it all went right on the day, and it was the best feeling ever.
And like, thinking with all of that in mind, like, it just demonstrates what you've already been able to achieve. When you bottle that up and think about what you can do with all of that energy in 2 or 3 years from now, what does that make you think you do? What does that lead to? Where do you want to take yourself from now?
So that was kind of the hard bit, that now I do think about it a bit more than I used to back then. And I've struggled a little bit with that this year, just overthinking things. My naivety's gone. I know how much it hurts, and I kind of know what it takes. And when I say I go hard into everything, now that I'm so in love with running, everything I look at on social media is running. Every podcast I listen to is running. Like, everybody I look up to are amazing runners, and I see what they're doing. And I've struggled a bit this year with like comparing myself to others, or being like I have to train like an athlete. So my target this year was just to take it back to basics and fall back in love with running, and love the sport for the sport, because I was on this upwards trajectory. Well, I still am on this upwards trajectory, so I just have to keep going. So yeah, find love for the sport, which I've done. I'm absolutely so excited for London Marathon, which I think, as this podcast comes out, will be at the weekend. And then I just want to push myself, see where my limits actually are. Like, I just want to do everything, though. I want to work really hard, have a good balance in life, build my brand, and be the best runner I possibly can.
Amazing. And I guess, speaking of kind of running for fun, tell us about what you've just done, running from Las Vegas or the other way around, Los Angeles to Las Vegas.
Exactly. I did the Speed Project, which is this unsanctioned, like, hidden race. So it's a relay race from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. So that's 340 miles. And Lululemon kindly sponsored me to get a team together of 6 powerful women. And the whole premise around it was we were going to like wire ourselves up like lab rats. And so we tested our muscle fatigue, our glucose, so monitored our fueling, our heart rate, our fatigue, our sleep, everything, and to give some research back into female endurance athletes. So we brought Anthony Fletcher with us, who is writing up a data piece at the moment to hopefully publish, just to help that little bit. I think there's like 7% of all research into endurance athletes is on females. So if we can be like, these are the trends that we found, it'd be really good to put some research and some money behind this. I think that was our one aim, really.
Amazing. And how did you find this kind of relay that you're doing through the night, through the desert? Like, tell me about that. Was it the craziest thing you've done to date?
The craziest thing. It was so different from a marathon. I knew the running was going to be like the easiest bit of it. Like, it was everything else. I am a very good sleeper, and to go 50 hours without really any sleep was hard, but it taught me so much. Like, I was so scared at the beginning of this challenge, and the first night when we were running through the night, there were points where it made sense to cut a shortcut through the Mojave Desert, and the RV and our support vehicles would have to go around the highway. So you were alone, and you'd hear these stories of like, or getting WhatsApp messages through of like desert wolves. If you Google the Mojave Desert on Google, it comes up with all these horror stories of like, just like the most unsolved, scary crimes ever. So yeah, I wouldn't advise doing that before the race. But then by the end, I was just so brave, and I think it tapped into something else mentally. Just to like, I can really push through hard things. I have never had to keep mentally switched on for such a long time, and also it was like part of doing it as a team. Like, you had to do it for the team. I wasn't giving up. Like, not one of us thought for 1 minute we're not going to complete this, and we actually did better than we thought, and we came third female team, which was insane.
Wow, that's amazing. So obviously within it, you're kind of navigating your route. You can all run whatever route you like.
Yeah.
How far was the total distance that you guys ran?
So we ran, so it was 340-ish miles, 550-ish kilometers.
And how'd you break that up across the 6?
Yeah, so we had to plot the route ourselves. So Laura plotted the route. Then the rest of the team was Mary, Savannah, Amy, me, and Jess. So we started out with longer legs. So I set off with the first split, which was 5K, and I led out the speed project, which was a big moment for me. I was like, I'm winning the speed project. So dropped a pretty quick, like 17-minute 5K first leg.
And left all the boys behind.
Boys behind. And then we brought it back to like 3K splits. And then I also finished with a longer one. But in the middle, I did like 14K. So I think overall I did just over 100K.
Wow, that is absolutely crazy. Wow, and I guess a completely different experience to what maybe you were doing beforehand, and obviously what you've got coming up this weekend. And obviously the mental strength from doing that, kind of running through the night, etc., and that toughness, I'm sure will be really powerful. Thinking ahead to this weekend, and obviously wanting to enjoy your running, like, have you a goal? What are you thinking about? What's the plan?
Yeah, so it's my first time in the elites, which makes it even more special. So I feel like the 3 times I've done London Marathon have all been like really pinnacle races, being my first marathon, the one I qualified to represent England, and now my first time in the elites. So I just don't want to put too much pressure on myself, and I want to enjoy it. And I do thrive off like the race environment. Like, at the end of the day, that is the last party. Like, that's the dance. You've done all the hard work. So I do just genuinely want to enjoy it. I still know I'll do a good time, hopefully. So many people will be doing it like behind me. It's going to be tough being in the elites, because you basically have to run it alone as a female, because you start 20 minutes ahead of everybody else. But yeah, London Marathon.
Well, it's your home city. I'll be out there cheering you, and I'm sure so many of your friends, family, and followers as well will be as well. And anyone listening to this, you see Anya running past, give her a big cheer to make it a super special marathon.
Thank you so much. Shall we go on to interview you, Ben?
Yeah, we can tell them a much less interesting story about me.
Okay, Ben, this feels weird interviewing my boss. What got you into running?
Yeah, great question. So I guess I didn't start running properly until I was maybe about 21. I think what got me into fitness was the case that my dad was always a fit guy. He would cycle to work, play tennis, and whatever. And he probably saw me slightly disappointed, the slightly fat, chubby kid at school, would take the bus to school, eat sweets all day, and play a lot of Call of Duty. And I guess at the age that you probably start to like girls, I was probably, pushed by him to start cycling to school, but I also wanted to lose weight and I guess initially start to look a certain way. So I started cycling to school and also started going to like the kids' gym sessions at my local gym, because I wasn't 16, I wasn't allowed to go to the gym. So I did both those two things and started to kind of lose weight, started to feel the endorphins of actual starting the day with some exercise, cycling to school. And also quite quickly started to see progress in the gym, which was really exciting. And from there, I guess I saw almost myself become slightly more respected at school, because I was no longer this like useless fat kid, and instead I was like starting to be one of the stronger kids at school as I kind of like went through that gym journey. And all the while played some sport, played a lot of tennis, played some football, but didn't run. I did my first half marathon alongside my dad and his office team doing a kind of half marathon, and then parked the running. So that was 17. Carried on doing the gym, did the gym all the way through uni, and probably by the end of my time at uni, I was one of the biggest guys at uni. And I'm not the tallest. I'm kind of 5'11", and probably got to the point where I weighed nearly 100 kilos, and I was had a big six pack. And I think like the goal of going to the gym to look good, I'd almost kind of achieved it. It was getting a bit like, there's no point getting any bigger now because I'm just going to look silly. And at the same time, I'd progressed to being the president of the lacrosse club. And as doing that, I also organized a group of them to kind of regularly come and do some extra fitness, because I knew kind of like I was doing a geography degree, fitness was my thing, and I wanted to really kind of practice doing fitness, practice teaching people, but also as a way to connect with the probably subgroup of the club. So 20 of us would kind of do my homemade fitness classes at the uni gym that we'd take over for an hour. And of that group, we went on to put together a team that would do the Southampton half marathon, which is where we were at uni. And I did that half marathon and really, really enjoyed it, and carried on doing my gym. And I, at the same time, did an entire year straight of going to the gym every day. And that was because I just loved going to the gym. It was the thing that gave me purpose, gave me the endorphins that I now get from some other exercise. And at the end of that year, I've done this half marathon. I've gone to the gym every day for a year. I very much was kind of looked at as this kind of like crazy nutter who can do everything. And I wanted to prove to everyone that I actually was that. So I then went and signed up at about 11:30 at night, lying in bed one day on the 365th day of going to the gym every day in a row, to an Ironman. Because it was kind of the hardest thing that I could, a full Ironman. I'd never done a triathlon. It was like just the hardest thing that I could find on Google. So I signed up to it, and I basically went to start training for that. At the same time, qualified as a personal trainer, got my first job in Southampton, and also started working under a professional running coach within his PT studio, which also started to gain a little bit more exposure to the running world. I did that job for 9 months and did a lot of kind of like one-on-one running work. And I think my boss knew that because I was a good enough runner, he could send me out running with his clients. That was my first exposure to kind of like running coaching as well. I then went out and spent 2 years running the fitness department for a 5-star hotel in Greece. All the while, still at the start of that journey, still training for this first Ironman. And so training for that meant that I had the choice of either running and cycling in beautiful Greece or going to the gym in the dungeon underneath the hotel, which relatively made running and cycling seem a lot more interesting. And since then, I've basically not looked back, and I have hardly been back to the gym other than avoiding injury and doing classic kind of like a lot of single leg, single arm work and core work to be a strong Ironman essentially. Built up towards that first Ironman and finished it, and had the same feeling that you probably had with your marathon, which is that I knew I could do it better. And since then, I've done an Ironman pretty much every year. I'm now on 7 Ironman races completed. I've done a bunch of marathons and a few ultra marathons, and it's just the thing that makes me happy. I kind of just like enjoy running and cycling so much that as a result, I can almost accidentally do an Ironman every year because I do so much training, because the training makes me happy almost. So it's been a relatively big roller coaster journey of what got me started. And I guess what got me started was looking a certain way to impress girls or whatever. And now it's the case that all I care about is getting faster, getting stronger, and just getting outside and enjoying all of those endorphins.
Well, you do just love it. Like when I hear you talking about these things, I know you've done some mental ultras. Can you talk to us about those? I've got 2 in mind.
Yeah, so I think the one that was, my first ultra experience So I've returned home from my 2 years in Greece. I'm working as a professional running coach in Richmond Park, coaching lots of people, and kind of doing my Ironman of the year is my main focus. And we're now in the lockdown. So same time as your kind of running's going haywire, I was really sad because the Ironman of the year that I was signed up to do was cancelled, and that was just the most important day of the year for me. So with about 4 or 5 days to go, I was like, what can I do? And I decided on the day of that Ironman, I was going to run as far as I could. I'd never ran more than a marathon. So I decided to try and run as many laps of Richmond Park as I could. So at 4 a.m., which I think was when the sunrise came up, I arranged to run a lap of the park with one of my clients and friends at the time. And then every hour I had a different person meet me at one of the gates to Richmond Park. And at the time, I think you could only kind of spend time one-on-one with people. So I ran laps and laps of Richmond Park all day long. Different people. I'd left kind of a boot full of snacks in the back of my car. Managed to run 11 laps of Richmond Park, which kind of equated to the height of climbing Ben Nevis. And it was like 128 kilometers, which relatively was quite a long way to go, given that I'd never gone past a marathon. So that was my substitute for not doing an Ironman that year. And I think the other one you're referring to was a really cool event we did quite early on in Runner's journey. We put together a team of about 10 or 12 of us, and we all went out to Sri Lanka to run a 5-day ultra marathon through the jungle, a very hot and humid place. And again, slightly naive to some of the things that happen in an ultra marathon, especially one in the heat. My feet really grew in the heat, which is kind of like, sounds crazy, but is a relatively normal thing that happens. Your feet swell in the heat. I managed to lose 8 toenails on day 1. So then doing a marathon, trying to run 60k on day 3 with feet that are in a funny shape was hard work. There was a point in that, I think on the 3rd day, when we were kind of running downhill on some rocks. So you're almost finding your feet bashing into the end of your shoes, where it was just agony. And I sat down on a rock thinking, oh God, I can't do this anymore. And shortly before, I'd already waved to a local and asked for a machete, which he had run off. And I didn't think he understood me. I thought he was probably just running away from the crazy man and his doing whatever. And anyway, he came back as I'm sat on this rock. And I thought, in hindsight, or I remembered that I'd been on the rock for 10, 20 seconds, but I could have been there for 20 minutes. I have no idea. I was so disorientated in agony. He come back with machete. I cut the ends of my shoes off. So I turned my trail shoes into basically sandals. And it was so funny because despite having been walking for a little bit in agony, my feet were then able to almost fit in my shoes again, and the pain just disappeared. And I went on to run, I think the next 4k at 4-minute kilometers. And we were quite towards the end of this day. I ran straight through the aid station without stopping, singing along to Mamma Mia. And had a very, a change in the outcome of how maybe the event would have gone. It was a amazing experience. I haven't done too many exciting ultras since, partly because the next piece in the journey is Runner, which has maybe taken up a lot of time, and meant that I haven't done as many ultras, but definitely an amazing experience. Doing these kind of multi-day events means that you're camping with everyone else, you're getting to know people, you're really thrown in at the deep end. So a really, really amazing experience.
Yeah. And I think you must have definitely done it for the experience. That was before social media. That was before ultra running was cool.
Well, I'm not that old, Anya, that it wasn't before social media. But no, I didn't have much reason to share too much of what was going on. And it was just a fun challenge and an amazing experience to look back on.
Yeah. And so I didn't also realize that was anything to do with Runner.
So it was before we were called Runner. Okay. So in the early days, so I guess in this same journey, I'm a running coach in Richmond Park. It's going well to the point where I can't take on any more clients. So one of my paying clients, but friends from that very first group at the lacrosse club who did the half marathon, Dom, suggested automating what I was doing as a coach. So we went on to set up what's now Runner, but started out as a business called the Run Buddy. So we had taken 12 of our run buddies out to Sri Lanka. And that was a website. You came onto the website, we'd build you a personalized PDF and email it to you. And 15 minutes later, the customer would have their their plan. And things have kind of snowballed over the last 3 years to take us to the app that we know today.
Yeah, I know we'll be chatting to you and Dom a bit closer into the story of Runna, so we won't delve too deep into that. What do you think is the reason you carry on running when you've got such a busy life now, owning Runna, working every day in the office? What keeps you showing up, training for these Ironmen, being such a busy person?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I keep running for probably the reason why I started. So I love the feeling of getting better, and I love the endorphins. I love being outside, but fundamentally I love progress, and I think that was the thing that I loved in the gym, and now it's the thing that I love running, and I love doing my cycling, and I love working on doing a startup business. Like, there's so much opportunity to get better. So being a competitive person and probably a relatively addictive personality, like right now I'm addicted to running, I'm addicted to cycling, and I'm addicted to Runna, and those are the things that I'm really focused on getting better at. However, maybe since launching the business, because it's taken up so much time, because it's been such a intense roller coaster, I haven't got better every year. I've relatively gone sideways, a little bit backwards over the last 3 years. I definitely couldn't run the marathon PB I did right before Runna started today. And so I think that has challenged why I love running. And I think while I still want to get better, and there's a lot of opportunity to do that, partly maybe from having gone backwards a little, it just makes every day a good day when I get out and exercise, whether it's doing a gentle cycle ride, even if it's a day where all I get time to do is commute into the office on the bike. Exercise, moving around is something that makes me super, super happy. And I think I'm very lucky that exercise is something that I enjoy. There's so many people, and the number of PT clients that I've spent time with who would always were just like, how can I love it more? Like, they just want to they want to love it. They don't want to have to pay someone to push them out the door. So I feel very privileged that that's the case. And I guess I've had my I've had a few injuries over the time, and also had not enough time to go and run. And so now it's just this privilege that when I've got the time to run, or if I'm not injured and I can go and run, I can't think of anything more fantastic.
Yeah, I think we're the same in that regard.
Yeah. Well, it's great to tell you guys a little bit about what gets us excited about our running, and to tell you a little bit about the stories behind us as the hosts of the Runna Podcast. With that in mind, we're going to pause, and we're going to send us over to Steph, who's going to join us and share this week's coaching tip of the week.
My top tip today is on consistency. Progress will come with consistency. It's not about training hard all the time. It's about training smart and getting the balance right. Aim to have about 80% of your training easy and 20% that bit harder. And don't progress your mileage more than 10% each week.
Right, well, thank you very much, Steph. So we're going to move into the second half of the podcast, where we're going to have a few more slightly sillier questions where you can maybe get to know us a little bit better. So, Anya, you're going to kick things off with a few of these silly questions we've prepared.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give you a would you rather, Ben.
Yeah.
Would you rather run a marathon and your only fluid you're allowed to take on is milk or champagne?
This is I feel like the marathon could go one of two ways drinking champagne. It might numb the pain and be really good carbohydrates, or mean that you're over the side of the railing and not finishing. Although I can't imagine that milk would be too much fun. Obviously some carbs. It's full of protein, but that's probably not necessary in the race. Yeah. That's helpful for the next few days. I think I'm going champagne. What about you?
I think champagne too. Alcohol is basically a carbohydrate. And alcohol is sugar.
It's not like you need to drink like 3 bottles.
Yeah.
Give me a few cups along the way.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to taste great,
yeah.
But it's I'm going champagne.
Right, we'll both go with that then. Yes.
Okay, so I've got one for you. Would you rather do an interval session in flip-flops or a tempo session in crocs?
That's really hard. I don't know. I think longer reps, crocs would start to rub, even if the backs are down and they have, sport mode on. I think I might have to go flip-flops on a track.
Intervals flip-flops. Yeah. Gosh, I can't say that I've ever worn Crocs, so I don't know if they're great or not. But I spend a lot of time in flip-flops. So I would also do my intervals in flip-flops. I think if there's ever a record, not that there are many records that I can ever get, I think the record for me out there would be the marathon record in flip-flops. I think it's about 2:47. But please correct me if I'm wrong. That if I, got a carbon pair of flip-flops, I reckon that's up for grabs. I'm sure there's no specific rule that you can't.
Okay, last one. Would you rather do all of your training ever again, running training, on a track, or none of your training ever again on a track?
Oh, I'm not going to the track. I think I like running on the track and it's fun, but I also like exploring. I like running around Richmond Park. I like running along the river, and I'm quite sure I could do some intervals and use my watch and work out how far it is. Yeah. So I'm saying goodbye to the track.
I think that's because we're long distance marathon runners, though, because I know a lot of track athletes that will do that only running on a track and then maybe some cross training to supplement it.
I definitely couldn't do a long run on the track.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who will do 24-hour races on the track, which genuinely makes me baffled. Although, to caveat that, we are creatures of habit. You're probably the local legend on Strava at Battersea Park, is that right?
I was before the speed project. I need to get that crown back.
Gosh. So yeah, Battersea Park, for those who don't know, it's about a 3K loop.
3K, I was doing 3K reps of it this morning. Every race I ever do, I'm like, okay, one lap of Battersea Park.
Oh, really? I break it down into park runs. When I'm at 37K in the marathon, I'm like, park run to go. Although I kind of say that from 35K, knowing that the final 2K is free.
Yeah, you love Richmond Park.
Yeah, Richmond Park's my jam, as I shared with my 11 laps earlier. Used to cycle to school through Richmond Park. I now cycle to work through Richmond Park. I do a lot of my running there as well, so it's a place close to my heart as well. Well, we're going to segue into now our embarrassing stories of the week. Yeah. So we have asked some of our runners to send us their most embarrassing stories. So we're going to read out one of these. If you want to share your embarrassing story to be read out in a future episode of the podcast, please send them to podcast@runner.com or send us a voice note on Instagram. So, Anya, you can obviously share any embarrassing running stories you've got afterwards. But here we are. So I went from work to my usual running spot and decided to get changed in my car. Mid-change, I suddenly noticed someone nearby getting an unexpected view. Yep, I inadvertently flashed a stranger. Lesson learned, always double-check your surroundings before attempting a car wardrobe change. So basically, we've got a runner stripper customer who strips in their local car park. Have you had any close calls like that?
It's similar, yeah. Or when it's really rained and your clothes have just gone completely see-through. Oh, no. It's always a risk.
I probably won't share too many of my embarrassing stories because they're all poo related, and I don't think you want to hear about those just yet. But yeah, so we will be sharing lots of embarrassing stories over the weeks ahead. So please send them in, and we look forward to hearing them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the final question of our Runner podcast, which you got to look forward to hearing from all kinds of exciting guests, but the one we'll leave you with is what we would bring to the start line of a marathon if we can only bring 3 things. So you're naked on the start line of your next marathon. What 3 things are you bringing?
I think it's got to be some carbon-plated running shoes. I need those. Need those, definitely. I used to do all my training, which isn't good, in carbons. It used to be a running joke. So yes, a good pair of running shoes. Contact lenses, because I feel really seasick when I run without contact lenses in because I'm really blind. That's my biggest fear, that I can't see mid-marathon. So yeah, contact lenses, and I'm assuming.
So you're in your shoes with contact lenses on, completely naked right now?
Yeah, well, this is when I'm gonna wear one of those really cool track speed suits.
A one piece.
A one piece that they wear. They look really cool when they're sprinters in them, and I'll just wear them for the marathon.
Nice. And no Strava upload, no runner app upload?
Every single work I've ever done has been on Strava. Like, a fun story is I downloaded Strava on the day we went into lockdown, and my first ever run was like titled "Ran to the Pub" and it was closed.
No way.
So literally been there since day one of lockdown. So that would be really hard. I guess you can manual upload. It's not the same.
Got your chip time.
Yeah, everyone thinks you're lying when you manual upload though.
So,
I couldn't see my splits.
but you're going with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no good going blind because you might not finish.
Yeah. What would you go with then?
So I would also go for carbon shoes.
Yeah.
I think that's necessity. I would though take my Garmin watch because I do want it on Strava, and of course on the Runner app. And for anyone who knows me, would know that I would also bring my Oakley Sutras. I'm pretty hairy, so it's basically the same as being fully clothed. Get a few cups of water on the way and on my merry way.
That could be another world record. Says naked marathon.
I'm quite sure it wouldn't be the first, but it's probably the first in a big event because I can't imagine that you're allowed to do that in the main events.
I assume it's going to be. You wouldn't get the cameras on you because they wouldn't be.
No, it would also be very bad for Runner.
That
I don't think Dom would let me do that.
But everyone looks cool and
yeah, and also like any photos of the like shoulders up would look great. And it doesn't weigh me down.
And exactly, that's so true, and it will make you run faster to finish it off quicker.
Yeah, there we are. So you guys can have a think about what the perfect 3 items are and let us know. But otherwise, please do follow along with our Runna podcast journey. Please let us know any amazing runners that we should interview over the coming weeks and months. Like, follow, subscribe, do all that stuff. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah, thank you so much.